A message so clear and so true, a message so final for you. The time has come to let the whole world know. This message of peace and love came only from Allah above. Have faith, step onto the cloud of Islam, and you will discover the light of Iman. Proclaim this message entrusted to you, and the cloud of Islam will carry you.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. My dear respected audience, my brothers and sisters in Islam, and my brothers and sisters in humanity. In the past, we have had occasions when I talked to you about concept of Shifa in medical practice. I said Shifa was an Arabic word which could be translated to cure as opposed to treatment. A doctor's job is to treat, and getting better is when the person is cured. And the cure comes because of the doctor's efforts, but not from the doctor, but from the creator of the doctor and the patient and the disease, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I did explain at length how Shifa concept was there before. Even Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he left the city of Ur, when he left Iraq at that time, he talked about it and he said, فَإِذَا مَرِضْتُ فَهُوَ يَشْفِينَ. If I become ill, hey, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give me Shifa. Concept of Shifa, I said, was that if Allah, إِن يَمْسَسْكَ اللَّهُ بِضُرٍّ فَلَا كَاشِفَ لَهُ إِلَّا هُ. If you are afflicted by anything, there's no one who can take it off from you except Allah. Shifa is with Allah. We did go into detail in those episodes, and we talked about how Shifa is there for every disease. لِكُلِّ دَاءٍ دَوَاءٍ وَلِكُلِّ مَرْضٍ شِفَاءٍ. But if we do not know, that's our lack of knowledge. It's not lack of Shifa. Allah has given rizq or sustenance to everyone that He created. Similarly, He has given Shifa or cure to every disease that He has given to the humans. But some of these cures we know, some we don't. Therefore, we are coaxed, we are encouraged to go and do research. We went into details of how there's a scenario when doctor, patient, medicines, equipments, when all these are there, and the concept of Shifa is missing. And we talked about how in success everybody becomes arrogant, and how in failure everybody gets depressed, and how in failure everybody blames everybody else. But when there's the concept of Shifa coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everybody's looking at the Shifa. Everybody is trying to find out what is the way in which I can get Shifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How can I get that? And therefore, the only way to get it is to please Allah. So a doctor, he does not, his idea is not just to please the patient. His idea is beyond, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is not easy. When we have the concept of Shifa, then we know it's very essential for us to satisfy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He is holding the Shifa in His hand. And that's one of the angles of our diagram. 3 angles may be filled. We explained that in the previous episodes. But if the 4th angle, the angle of Shifa, is not filled, then success is not there. That's why the patient, that's why the doctor, everybody looks for the Ridwanullah, which is the pleasure of Allah. What are the things I can do by which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased? And that, of course, if you're pleasing Allah, patient will be pleased in any way. He will get better. He'll be thankful. He will be pleased. But the concept of Shifa changes the whole worldview of the doctor. That concept of Shifa from Allah makes you look to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the Shifa all the time. In this, as I mentioned, there is a lot of responsibility on the doctor. Among the other things that we mentioned before, one other responsibility is the doctor realizes this patient who is sitting in front of him, whom he is examining, he has to respect him. He doesn't look at the disease that the patient has. He doesn't look at the patient as a patient of TB. What is this patient? He's a patient of TB. What is this patient? He's hypertensive. What is this patient? He's ulcerative colitis. No. He is Mr. So-and-so. He is so-and-so, son of so-and-so. He is so-and-so, husband of so-and-so. He is so-and-so, daughter of so-and-so. They are all connected and interconnected. And doctor looks at the whole thing. And doctor also looks at the patient, what effects this disease has on the patient. Many effects. And he does not just leave all the other things and concentrate on the disease only. He has to concentrate on the whole thing. When he does that, his treatment is perfect. His treatment is good. And Shifa comes min Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from Allah. And when Shifa comes from Allah, doctor is happy because his patient is well. Patient is happy because he's already got well. Everybody else around is happy because the whole thing has been a success. Once again, if that is your niyyah, once again, if that's your aim and ambition, that everybody should be happy with me, my name should come in the papers, I have performed the biggest operation. My name should come in the papers, I am one of those doctors who cured the disease of a patient who everybody else was incurable. Then you're lost again. You're lost again. Because that's not where you stop. You go beyond. You must always say, have I pleased my Lord or not? Because still the Shifa is with Him. And also, we should not be mistaken. It's not that every time you make a mistake, He withholds the Shifa. He doesn't. As I said before, when Allah's mercy comes on the ground, like rain, it falls in the garden of an atheist, garden of a person who disrespects and denies God altogether. Even he gets the rain as much as the person who is with Subhanallah and Alhamdulillah from morning till evening. Allah's mercy is universal. It doesn't go by color, it doesn't go by religion, it doesn't go by race, it doesn't go by creed. And similarly, Shifa can still come. You could ignore the Shifa, be unaware of it, or purposely say no to it. Still your patient can get better. It's Allah's patient. It's Allah's abd. Allah wants him to get well, but you lost. Patient has got better, but you lost. Because Allah is not pleased with you. You have not turned to Him. And He has still given Shifa to the patient. But you have lost the point. That is where we got to understand what the Shifa does to the whole scenario. Once you have this concept of Shifa in disease process, then you want to know who monopolizes the Shifa, who is holding the Shifa. The answer is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you turn to Him. Turn to Him. Ask Him Shifa for your patient. And the patient turns to Him, asks Shifa for himself. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always grant this Shifa. When the patient comes to you As I said earlier, the patient is innocent. The patient trusts the doctor, and the doctor examines the patient. What exactly are you doing when you are examining the patient? In a lot of cases, you are making the patient do things which you would not do for anybody anytime. Take your clothes off. He'll take the clothes off. Lie down. He'll lie down. Sit up. He'll sit up. Walk in front of me. Walk in front of you. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep... Whatever you ask him. Each time you ask him to do something, you got to know and you got to ask yourself, am I doing it for the sake of patient? Is it absolutely essential for me to do that? Or am I doing it for my pleasure? If you're doing it for the patient, alhamdulillah, yes, you do whatever you got to do. So you that way definitely are doing something good for the patient. And if you are doing it in that a little bit comes for your own self, then you got to watch out. You may be in trouble. But not just now, because we're going to have a break. I'll come back, inshallah, after a short break, and we'll continue. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome after the break. As I was saying, that whenever you do something, you want to know whether you're doing it for the patient or not. Particularly in the medical profession these days, an element has come in which is very sad, bad also. That is financial element, money. Because of the fact that a lot of doctors and hospitals and institutions, they have very costly equipment to buy. They want to recover the cost of this equipment. There is a tendency, I hope not, but there is a tendency that a doctor may write certain tests which may not be absolutely essential for the patient, but he may do that because he wants to recover some money for the equipment where he has put the money. And that is terrible. If he does that, I know from any standards, any religion, even those who don't have a religion, they will say this is wrong. But why is somebody doing it? Because he doesn't realize that he is under the microscope of the Creator all the time. If he knows, and he knows that this Creator is a far, far, far better doctor than him, and he knows the whole knowledge, and he is answerable to him, he will never ever do it. He will do it only as much as is necessary. Similarly, as I said, there are a lot of responsibilities on the doctor in this concept. There is a lot of responsibility on the patient as well. Patient has to realize that the body he has is an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's an amana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is in his custody. And you got to make sure that this body is working well. So how do you do that? You got to take the treatment for any illness that you have. You can't ignore your body. So when you want to take the treatment, what do? You don't just go to the next person that you come across. No, you think. As a patient, this is your duty, to think, where's the best treatment I can get? And you go to that particular person and choose that person to get the best treatment. And once you are with the person, open out and give the full information. You have to give the full information, because a lot of decisions are based on the information that you give to the doctor. Above all, back again to the same point, know that the doctor is an instrument, but my trust as a patient is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the one who will give me shifa. But I have to go to this doctor, it is through him that I am going to get shifa from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all the time while you are taking the treatment, when you're taking the pill in your hand, you ask Allah, oh Allah, put shifa in this pill for me. Here we go, I'm going to take this pill. And if only Allah will order the pill to give you the correct effect, you'll get the shifa, otherwise you will not. That's shifa. It's not the medicine. Same medicine can be taken by two patients from the same disease. In one it works, in one it doesn't work. Because this is under the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In disease process also, it's very commonly known that 10 people in the house, 5 people in the house and there's an outbreak of whatever disease. 2 get that, the other 6 don't get it. The other 8 don't get it. All of them have eaten the same. They drank the same water. They ate the same food. They ate from the same plates. They used the same cutlery. They used the same crockery. Then why? 2 have got the disease and 8 have not got the disease. Why? What's the reason? Chance? No. The reason is the disease is caused by the germs. And these germs are under the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the germs go into the body of this person and cause disease, and don't enter this body. Or if you enter, die there. Don't cause any disease. So they all get infected, 2 have disease, the others have self-defense, and they do not get the disease. This concept has to come in every patient. As I was mentioning in passing recently, just now, that the equipment that is nowadays very, very costly has come in. Those people who own the equipment, who handle the equipment, they are a part of the team. Do they believe that the Shifa comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Ultimate result is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If they do, they better make sure that their equipment is up to date, that it's working properly, it's giving the correct results. The technicians that are working are giving the correct results. You can't just do a haphazard, careless test. But if you know that this careless test is going to cost you on the day of judgment, you will not do it. Because the price you get here is nothing compared to the price you're going to pay on the day of judgment. So that person has to be extremely careful no matter what he's doing, where he's doing. The drugs, there are manufacturers of the drugs. Their manufacturing unit, of course their aim is to make money, and there's nothing wrong in that. That's their business. Nothing wrong in that. But they got to make sure that the drugs that they're making exactly contain what's written on that. They got to make sure that the equipment that's used in making the pills and mixing the solutions and making the syrups is up to date. They got to make sure there's no infection. They got to make sure this is meticulous. Otherwise, once again, even they are answerable to God on the day of judgment. They have to realize that. So the whole team then gets one concept, and that concept is answerability to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when there is success, everybody then goes and bows before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if there is failure, they do not get mad because they know the element of Shifa has not come. And why it has not come, Allah knows best. Allah has the hikmah, and Allah knows best. Nobody else does. We have, apart from this, in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ. This Quran, in it is Shifa. There was an experiment conducted in United States. Experiment was conducted by one of my friends in United States. And he took these cassettes and he asked the Qaris to read Quran. And he recorded the Quran. He recorded the Quran on these cassettes. And then he took ordinary Arabic novels. And he asked the same Qur'an, the same Qaris, to read this Arabic novel in the same tune, with the same tajweed as they did the Quran, so that one who is not familiar with the Quran would not understand whether what he is listening to, whether this is Quran or it is the ordinary Arabic novel. He doesn't know this. So with these 2 sets, one set is the Quranic cassettes. The other set is simple, some Arabic stories. But to the listener, there is no difference, unless the listener is a Muslim. He is doing this experiment in America. He's not doing it in somewhere where they're Muslim. And his patients all were non-Muslims. These are the patients who are suffering from disease which is not curable, again, not curable, and they have got pain and they are suffering in the hospital. So he gave these cassettes, cassette A, that's the Quranic cassette, to this group here, group A of the patients. Listen to this every morning for 1 hour and every evening for 1 hour. Patients listen to it in the morning for 1 hour, in the evening for 1 hour, for 15 days. And he grouped this B cassette group, which is ordinary stories or whatever, Arabic, and he gave it to this group B. Listen to this for 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. Then he switched over after 15 days to this group who for 15 days were listening to the Quranic cassettes. Now he gave them the ordinary Arab cassettes. And to this group who are listening to ordinary Arab cassettes, he now gave them the Quranic cassettes. Remember that they do not know, they have no idea whatsoever that this is Quran and this is something else. They don't know that, so he gave them this. And when he gave them this, he asked the results. When he started analyzing the results, it was not shocking for him, he expected, but shocking for a lot of people. Those people who had listened to the cassettes of Quran without even understanding the meaning and without even knowing this is Quran. There's no psychological thing attached with it because they don't know it's Quran. They were listening to the Quran. They said, when we were listening to those cassettes, we were much better than when we listened to these cassettes, did not have any effect. Both the groups said the same. That's what we call double-blind trial. Patient is blind, even the doctor is blind who is giving the cassettes, doesn't know which cassettes are Quranic cassettes and which cassettes are the ordinary cassettes. So they found that there was a lot of improvement, and that is Shifa in Quran. And there is Shifa, concept of Shifa. Once we have this concept of Shifa, and we know that this concept of Shifa, we know that Shifa comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the whole medical treatment, the medical profession will have a different, totally different outlook, totally different worldview, and more calm, more peaceful, more humble, more patient-friendly, and results will be definitely better than the results we are getting now. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that the light should shine on us all, on the doctors, on the medical profession, to realize this fact and to act in a manner that our answerability is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and nobody else. That will then be a much better world and a much better life, at least in the medical profession. No doubt, it applies to all other professions in one way or the other. But I wanted to give you this concept of Shifa in the medical profession. I hope what I have said has made some sense. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive me if I have said something wrong. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
A message so clear and so true, a message so final for you. The time has come to let the whole world know. This message of peace and love came only from Allah above. Have faith, step onto the cloud of Islam, and you will discover the light of Iman. Proclaim this message entrusted to you, and the cloud of Islam